This is Dennis McMahon, and welcome to Positively Vermont. And today, my special guest is Jess Wilson, the Executive Director of the Humane Society of Chittenden County. Welcome, Jess.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you so much for having me on your program. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. We do here at the Humane Society, and appreciate that you do this program.
That's great. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
Sure. I was born and raised here in Vermont. I worked for a very long time in community media nonprofits, including town meeting television many years ago. Fortunate to host a lot of election nights and do a lot of work, yeah, back in the day with nonprofit clients and helping them tell their stories. And from there, I moved over to work with RETN, the Regional Educational Television Network, which ultimately merged with Vermont Community Access Media and became the Media Factory. And so most of my career was working in community media nonprofits and really helping nonprofit organizations tell their story. About a year, actually exactly a year ago, I joined the team here at the Humane Society of Chittenden County. And, I honestly wasn't really thinking about making a change, but I have a deep passion for animals and animal welfare and just had admired this organization and the work that it does for so long, and had been, a donor and a supporter. And when I saw the opportunity to, take what I'd learned all those years and sort of, how to lead a nonprofit, I threw my hat in the ring, and I feel so fortunate that they decided to take a chance on me because, while I have the nonprofit background, I did not have a direct, background in animal rescue or animal welfare. So this staff has been really great at helping me learn on the fly in this last year, and it's been quite a ride. Yeah, I've learned a lot, and and I think all of the sort of positive feelings I had about this organization and the work it does have certainly been borne out in what I've seen here, in my first year on the job.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about the Humane Society of Chittenden County. Its history, I understand it's in its 125th year, its history, and what it does.
Yeah, great question. Well, so as you said, this marks our 125th year. So this animal shelter, which is a private, independent 501(c)(3) nonprofit, was founded in 1901. And so we've been serving people and their animals for, now 125 years. Sort of the original facility here, on our property in South Burlington was built, oh goodness, in the I might get my years wrong here, but way back in the 70s. By the late 1990s it had been outgrown, and so our current facility here on Kindness Court in South Burlington is about 12,000 square feet of animal care and adoption space. Um, we serve thousands and thousands of animals each year and their people. And so folks may know us as this is the place you come to adopt your new best friend, which is absolutely true. I mean, in 2025, we found homes and united almost 1,000 families, with their new best friends. And adoption is such an important part of what we do. But another big piece of what we do is called surrender prevention. So we feel like we're doing our best work if an animal doesn't even make it to our doorstep to find a new home. So surrender prevention looks like a lot of things. It is spay and neuter, so unwanted pets aren't born, and so that's a huge piece of what we do. We also have our community pet clinic. So we have two of those. We have our wellness clinic in the old north end of Burlington, and where we provide low cost wellness services and sick visits for community owned pets. Um, And then here at our main location at the shelter is where we do all of our spay and neuter surgeries, and we're also able to offer other surgeries to community-owned pets. Again, the idea being that if we can make access to care for animals affordable, then those animals are more likely to stay with their people than have to be relinquished. Because, what it comes back to is our overall mission is that we want to make sure every pet has a loving home and that every pet owner has the access to the resources to be able to give those pets happy and healthy lives. And so, again, that's medical care, that's nutrition. So another part of our surrender prevention work is our community pet food shelf. So folks can come here to the shelter and get free pet food and supplies if they need them, no questions asked. That food is donated by generous community members. We pass it back through to the community to help pets, stay where they need to go. We have a number of other programs too that help with surrender prevention. One that I think is really impactful is our Good Neighbor program. And
Hmm.
what this program does, if you're working with a local service provider, like I'll just an example, the Howard Center, and
Hmm.
maybe you're dealing with substance abuse issues in your life, and you really need to seek treatment. Sometimes it can be a barrier for folks to seek treatment because they're worried about their pets. And, if I have to go seek treatment, what do I do with my pet? And so we have this great program where folks, if they're working with a local provider, can have their pet come here for, I believe it could be as long as 6 weeks, while they're addressing whatever issue in their life is impacting their ability, because they just need a little time. And so their pet comes here, we give it medical care, we feed it, we love it, we take great care of it, and then hopefully, if all goes well, and that person has been able to get help and address whatever issue they were dealing with. It could be a loss of housing, many things. We also work with steps against domestic violence. They could be fleeing a domestic violence situation. They know their pet is safe and secure here with us, and then we're able to return it to them. So again, I feel like I'm going on and on, but there's so many great programs here that the team has in place to really, again, help keep people with their pets all along the way.
That's great. Let me, this may sound like a funny question,
Sure.
but what is a pet? What types of animals do you deal with?
Oh,
And you,
no. That's a great question. So mammals. In my time here, we have, of course, cats and dogs, guinea pigs, hamsters, chinchillas, sugar gliders. I should send you a picture of a sugar glider so you can show folks what those are. And rats, so small mammals, rabbits. We don't deal with birds or reptiles
Mhm.
or amphibians, but pretty much any other companion animal that is a mammal, you can adopt here at HSCC, or if you're struggling and you need to relinquish your pet for whatever reason, we're here to help you do that as well, and then find your pet a great new home.
Well, the website has a lot of very interesting statistics. And I just want to ask you about what statistically are the problems right now? Are there pets that are gone wild, or pets that are ill, or other types of things, crisis things for the
Mhm.
animal or for the people involved? How is that trending in Chittenden County?
Yeah, so we serve Chittenden and Grand Isle counties. We are also connected though with the other shelters and rescues around the state. So we have a pretty good sense of kind of what's happening. And I would say, so we track a lot of data. And so I guess if you're asking specifically about what is maybe forcing people to have to relinquish their pets, they can't keep their pet. What we're seeing there, a lot of it is around housing housing instability. So folks losing housing or needing to move into a new housing situation where, for whatever reason, they're not allowed to take their pet. I think the other reason that we see a lot of folks needing to relinquish their animals is around the high cost of veterinary care. I don't know if you have any animals. I have two cats and two dogs, and oh geez, one of my cats had to have a dental and a bunch of teeth extracted a couple weeks ago, and it is a hefty bill. And
Hmm.
so, unfortunately, I think with just the lack of housing in our area and some of the other economic pressures, and then that coupled with just how expensive veterinary care can be, folks sometimes find themselves in a very difficult situation between wanting to do what's right for their pet and get them the care they need. But if it's a decision between that and, feeding your family or paying your rent or your own medical bills, that's a really tough situation. And so I think those are the primary reasons that we see folks needing to relinquish their pets. Just a message, for your viewers, if you're finding yourself in that situation, though, we also encourage folks to reach out to us. Because the other thing that I didn't share at the beginning is that we are so fortunate to have a lot of great supporters in this community. So we have grant funding available, for instance, our rainy day fund. So this helps people. Trying to think of a recent example, like something happens to one of your animals and they're requiring a surgery, like an amputation or something, and it's really important for your pet's quality of life. We may be able to help you with funds to cover this surgery or part of this surgery, so that you can keep your pet. But again, the high cost of medical care does definitely drive the need for folks to relinquish their pets.
Now, there are a lot of other issues involved with this, but do you have any special program or relationship with the owner of service animals,
Uh, Meaning service animals that help somebody who might be visually
handicap,
impaired, or
yeah,
yeah,
handicap
so
therapy
we don't,
dogs?
sure, we don't adopt out or have sort of a therapy dog program. But we certainly, through our health clinics, see animals that are service animals and such. It is interesting though that you raise that, because another big piece of what we do here, is related to our dog population specifically, is behavior support. Here at HSCC, we have, I think, space for approximately 21 dogs. Although if we had 21 dogs here at one time, that would be a lot for our staff
Mhm.
to handle. Um, and so we spend a lot of time supporting their behavior needs, understanding their behavior needs, because again, we when we adopt out any animal, our first goal is to try to make a good match between the person who is seeking their new friend and that animal. And so we spend a lot of time trying to understand the needs of that individual animal and what might make a great match for them. And so a big part of that is our behavior program with all of our dogs specifically, where we're doing assessments. We're fortunate to work with a behavior consultant who has been doing this work for a very long time. And each dog has a behavior plan that sort of helps support them while they're here at HSCC. Because as you can imagine, being in a kennel setting can be pretty stressful. And
Mhm.
so we really pay attention to sort of their quality of life and how they're doing, because the better they're feeling, the better chance they have at making a good adoption match and finding their next home. And then when that dog goes home, we offer some follow-up behavior support with our team, because it does take a little bit of time, for an animal to settle into their new home, and kind of decompress from their experience of being here and the change and getting to know their new people. And so that behavior support becomes very important in helping support matches post adoption. So we're very fortunate that we can offer that kind of support to adopters.
That's great. Well, there's a lot of other issues, and I don't want to get into it too much, but I understand Burlington now is going to be requiring cat licenses in April. And how do you help people with the entire licensing procedure that exists in the towns and cities that you serve?
Yeah, so we don't do anything directly with licensing. I mean, that happens through the municipalities, but we certainly provide education to adopters, and of course, an important piece of what we do here, at our wellness clinic, and any animal coming through our shelter, whether it be a stray or somebody that has had to relinquish their pet, are certainly getting all of their core vaccinations, including rabies, which, is very important for disease control. And, a big part of that registration process is, making sure that that animal has been vaccinated so it's safe to be in the community.
That's great. Well, tell us about education. And one of the things I notice you have is a humane education project. Tell us what that's about.
Sure. Well, that's one of my favorite things. So we have Camp Paw Paw here. So all summer long, young people are joining us here at HSCC, and we're creating. We hope that the next generation of folks that young people that are really going to care about animal welfare. And so, as part of Camp Paw Paw, we run these summer camps all summer long. In fact, registration is open right now and filling up. And I should say we have some scholarships available as well. So we try not to make income be a barrier if a young person, really wants to do these camps. And so they learn all sorts of things about how to care for animals, some science behind it, lots of fun games. We have this great last year we planted a smallie garden. So we call smallies, those are any of the small mammals that are here with us.
Mm.
So rats, rabbits, gerbils, guinea pigs. And they really love their fresh veggies, and they need them to be healthy. And so the campers helped us tend and keep a garden. And then one of the fun aspects of it was then getting to harvest those veggies and then give them to the smallies. So that was a very popular activity at Camp Paw Paw last year. And so it's just a great opportunity to learn more about how to care for animals, and hopefully have some fun here on our campus at HSCC.
Could you describe the campus? It sounds rather large. What do you have physically there?
Sure. So physically here, at Kindness Court, we have our main building, which is about 12,000 square feet, and we need to expand that building. We're always running out of space here. So we have one of our medical clinics is here as part of our space, and so that again, community-owned animals are coming here to get spayed or neutered. Or potentially some other surgeries that our team is able to do. So that's a piece of what's going on here. Of course, we have our adoption center, where folks come to, meet adoptable animals and do adoption counseling if they identify an animal that might be a good match for them. And then we have our play yard, where our dogs, get some great off-leash time and get to run around and play and just enjoy being outside. And in our basement level is where all of our dog kennels are, and then there are also our outdoor runs for the dogs to be able to go outside and be, outside. And while we clean and get their kennels cleaned up each day. Um, so yeah, and that's basically, what's going on here. And we have, depending on the time of year, about 25 staff. And as you can imagine, caring for all these animals, and I should have said at the outset that we have anywhere between, depends on the day, it could be as, few as 45 animals in care to over 100. And so, as you can imagine, that's a lot of cleaning, that's a lot of laundry, it's a lot of cat litter. And we wouldn't be able to do any of that without a tremendous group of community volunteers. So, we have a staff of around 25 people. But then we have an amazing group of volunteers that are here every day helping our staff with cleaning and dog walking and, just all laundry, so much laundry. And so this operation really doesn't work, again, without all the amazing community support that we have.
That's great. Well, I know there are some other issues such as legislation
Mhm.
that you're involved in. Tell us what types of legislation you want to see the public support.
Great. Well, thank you for that question. So there is currently an animal cruelty bill in the Vermont legislature. We're very grateful. Our local rep, Emily Krasnow, is one of the main sponsors of that bill, H578. And, Vermont has been working to try to update its cruelty laws for the last several years. The legislature did create a new division of animal welfare, and then this is sort of the next piece of that. And one of the primary things that we're really interested in it addressing and that the legislature is working on is, when there is an unfortunate case of animal cruelty, what has happened in the past. So at this point, it's, game wardens that get involved with helping address this. If an animal is seized as part of a cruelty case, then that animal can't be adopted out. It's sort of in limbo during the entire court case. And so what part of what this legislation is trying to address is forfeiture of those animals sooner rather than later, because as you can imagine, if an animal is in a shelter setting, it could, these cases can sometimes take years. It's not good for the health and well-being of the animal to be lingering that long. So trying to address forfeiture questions. Then the other big piece of it is who pays for this. So we here at HSCC, we do work with law enforcement and municipalities to help with this issue, but we wouldn't be able to financially take on the burden of holding on to an animal for that long, and providing for their daily care and their medical needs and such. And so the bill also trying to address, who pays for this care, and there are no municipal shelters, in Vermont. So the unfortunate thing is there's just really no good place for seized animals to go. And so what often will happen is, law enforcement will convince the person to surrender their animals, which takes care of the problem of the animal lingering for a long time. But then there's still an issue of like where does this animal go? Because all of the private rescues and nonprofit shelters, we have limited space. And so this bill is really hoping to coordinate efforts more clearly, and just address some of these issues. So we think it's really important that this do be addressed, because if you have somebody who's abusing or neglecting an animal and they're basically avoiding charges by just surrendering their animals, because that's often what happens. I just don't think that's good policy. Like those folks need to be held accountable for what they've done. But I understand the bind that law enforcement if there's no place to safely take these animals. It's a tough situation. So very, very grateful that the Vermont legislature is looking at this, and again grateful to Rep. Krasnow for bringing this bill forward. And we're talking today on the 17th of February at this point. The bill, I believe, will have a second or third reading on the House floor later this week, and then it will move over to the Senate committees of jurisdiction for the Senate to do its work. So we're keeping an eye on it, and we're cautiously optimistic.
Great. Um, One of the things we like to do here on Positively Vermont is to ask how people can get involved. And one of those things is, what do you need? What do you need
Hmm.
from the public or foundations or institutions or community organizations? How can these people help?
Well, I think, by being volunteers and supporters, that is huge. That helps us so much. We rely, we're not federally funded. We're not funded by the state. So our funding all comes from private philanthropy and the support of this community, which has been immense. We wouldn't have survived 125 years if we didn't have the support of this wonderful community. So financial support is appreciated, of course, and also volunteer support. Again, like none of this works without the immense support of volunteers. So folks can find out information about all of that via our website. And then, we just encourage folks to consider us if you're looking for, to adopt a new best friend. If you follow us on social media, you can see regular updates on adoptable animals, and that's a great way to get involved. And again, we're always open to donations of food that allow us to pass on to community members who maybe are struggling.
That's great. Well, I'd just like to ask, we've spoken about new best friends, and I suppose some of your media may have success stories involved, kind of human animal interest stories.
Mhm.
Where can people find that type of material?
Oh, that's a whole section on our website called Happy Tales.
Hmm.
And it's not tails, Tale. It's tails like wag the tail. And so that's what makes this work so much fun. Because as you can imagine, there are hard stories and hard days here too. I don't want to make it sound all like puppy dogs and kittens.
Yeah,
But the happy tales are, my favorite part. And so we follow up regularly with adopters, and they send us photos and stories about how their new best friend is doing. And it's really pretty wonderful to see. So if you go to our website and click on Happy Tales, you can read some great stories, and we update those regularly. Because we hear from folks all the time about how their new friend is doing.
that's great. Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure people know about.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. It was great hearing from you, Jess, and keep in touch. Are there any upcoming projects that the society is involved with in the next
Um, you know,
months?
we have some big fundraisers coming up. So, we have our big annual Best Friends benefit. And that is coming up on May 29th. So still
Mhm.
a few months out, but keep an eye on our socials or our website for more about that. That is going to be a tremendous amount of fun, where we have the Dave Grippo Funk Band playing. So it's going to be a party, a celebration of all the great work that HSCC does in the community, as well as our biggest fundraiser of the year. And then we have our summer camps, and then the other really fun event that we do, and of course this doesn't come until August and September, but it's called Bark and Brew, which is one of my favorite events. And so that's where we invite folks to come here and join us on the property. And local breweries come and pour some great beers for folks, and folks are allowed to bring their dog to come play in our play yard. So it's a great sort of social event, to join us, enjoy a great beer. Food trucks come, and bring your dog along and have a nice after work activity with your dog. So that's coming up in August. And again, details about all those fun events will be on our website.
That's great. Could you say that www, what's the
Yeah, our address is hsccvt.org.
okay.
So again, yep.
And you have a Facebook page too?
Yep, you'll find us on Facebook and also on Instagram. And I have to say, Facebook and Instagram are the best place if you want to see happy tales. That's where we share them regularly, as well as animals available for adoption. So that's a great place to follow us on social media. Just look us up. It's, the Humane Society of Chittenden County on both Instagram and Facebook. And we update very regularly.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Jess. And this has been very informative and a lot of fun. And I want to thank you for appearing on Positively Vermont. This is Dennis McMahon. My guest today is Jess Wilson, the Executive Director of the Humane Society of Chittenden County. Thank you for watching.